Did you know almost half of skilled immigrants in Canada end up in low-wage jobs? It's shocking. Doctors driving Ubers, engineers stocking shelves. Not what they signed up for, right? Today, we're digging into why Canada's losing its shine for immigrants. If you're thinking about moving here or know someone who is, stick around. We've got some eye-opening insights that might just save you from a world of disappointment. Ready to uncover what's really happening with immigration in Canada? Let's dive in. The Great Canadian Dream, a rude awakening. Hey folks, remember when Canada was the ultimate destination for immigrants? Well, hold on to your toques because things have taken a wild turn. Let's talk about Raj, our brilliant engineer from India who packed his bags, kissed his family goodbye, and jetted off to the land of poutine and promises. But spoiler alert, this story doesn't have a maple-sweet ending. Raj landed in Toronto, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to design the next CN Tower. He even bought a fancy briefcase for his first big interview. But instead of drafting blueprints, he's navigating rush-hour traffic behind the wheel of a taxi. Talk about a career detour, eh? Here's the thing, Raj's fancy degree and years of experience back in India? They're about as useful as a snowblower in July. Canadian employers are all about that elusive Canadian experience. It's like they think gravity works differently up here or something. So while Raj's actual skills are gathering dust, he's learning how to decode passenger slang and avoid potholes. That's just one way the dream's gone sideways. Let's talk about the housing situation. The market's gone absolutely loony. We're talking average home prices soaring past $700,000. Toronto and Vancouver? They're playing in the million-dollar leagues. And renting? A tiny one-bedroom can set you back $2,500 a month. Raj is practically handing over his taxi earnings just to have a roof over his head. His wallet's emptier than a hockey arena during a lockout. Remember that heartwarming idea of sending money back home to help the family? Yeah, that's on hold. Indefinitely. The rising cost of living has turned the dream of a better life into a daily grind just to keep afloat. It's like trying to swim upstream in a river of poutine gravy, messy and exhausting. Now, you might be thinking Raj can find a better job, right? Well, get this, immigrants with non-Canadian education are almost 3 times more likely to be overqualified for their current jobs compared to non-immigrants. It's like Canada's job market is playing a cruel game of your degree doesn't count here. And Raj isn't alone in this struggle. One poor soul shared their experience of moving to Canada with stars in their eyes, only to end up juggling multiple low-paying jobs just to make ends meet. There's barely time for a Timmy's run, let alone quality time with family or personal growth. But wait, there's more. About half of economic immigrants reported that their profession was regulated. Now, that might sound fancy, but in reality, it often leads to underemployment as they battle to get their credentials recognized. It's like trying to convince a stubborn moose that your foreign degree is just as good as a Canadian one. Welcome to the Great White North, where dreams come to hibernate. Bureaucracy, the Canadian obstacle course. Alright folks, remember when we left off with Raj feeling like he was trying to convince a stubborn moose that his foreign degree was just as good as a Canadian one? Well, things are about to get even wilder in the land of maple syrup and endless paperwork. You see, Raj thought getting into Canada was the hard part. Man, was he in for a surprise. Turns out, navigating Canadian bureaucracy is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a moose. Blindfolded. In a snowstorm. Let's break down Raj's bureaucratic obstacle course, shall we? First up, getting his engineering credentials recognized. This poor guy needs to jump through more hoops than a circus lion just to prove he knows which end of a calculator to use. And this process can take months or even years to complete. Next on the list, work permits, health cards, social insurance numbers. It's like collecting Pokemon, but way less fun and way more expensive. By the time Raj is done paying for all these assessments and extra training programs, he could have bought a small island in the Caribbean. But here's the kicker, even if Raj manages to get all his paperwork sorted, there's no guarantee of a job at the end of it. It's like climbing Mount Everest only to find out the view at the top is blocked by clouds. And while Raj is busy battling this bureaucratic beast, bills keep piling up faster than snow in Nunavut. His savings? They're disappearing quicker than free samples at Costco on a Saturday afternoon. Now, you'd think the Canadian system would be efficient, right? Wrong. As of 2023, Canada's immigration backlog was over 2 million applications. That's not a backlog, folks, that's a small country. Some poor souls are waiting years just to get a decision on their work permits or residency applications. And let's talk about the tech running this whole show. The Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada (IRCC) is working with computers so old they might have been used to calculate the trajectory of the moon landing. Outdated tech and not enough staff means more delays and more frustration for folks like Raj. You'd think with all these challenges, Canada would have a top-notch system to help newcomers settle in, right? Well, surprise surprise, only about 38% of adult immigrants accessed settlement services in their first year of getting permanent residency. At this point, Raj is probably thinking he should have stayed put and battled the traffic in Mumbai instead. At least there, he knew which forms to fill out. Here in Canada, it's like playing a game of bureaucratic whack-a-mole, where every time you solve one problem, 3 more pop up. So, next time you're complaining about waiting in line at the DMV, just remember, somewhere out there, there's a Raj drowning in a sea of red tape, wondering if he'll ever see the light at the end of the bureaucratic tunnel. The not-so-polite truth: discrimination in the Great White North. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another eye-opening episode about the not-so-rosy reality of immigration in Canada. Today, we're diving into a topic that might ruffle some feathers: discrimination in the Great White North. Yeah, you heard that right. Turns out, all that famous Canadian politeness has its limits. Remember our friend Raj? The guy who thought his biggest problem in Canada would be apologizing too much? Well, he's about to learn that saying sorry isn't going to solve his biggest challenge yet: getting people to take him seriously. Now, you'd think with a resume as solid as Raj's, he'd be fighting off job offers left and right. But here's the kicker: as soon as employers see his foreign-sounding name and hear his accent, suddenly there are no openings. It's like his qualifications vanish into thin air, faster than a double-double at Tim Hortons during the morning rush. And when Raj does land an interview, it's all smiles and "thank you for coming," followed by crickets. Yep, you guessed it, radio silence. It's like he's auditioning for a role in a mime show, but nobody told him. But wait, it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Even Raj's taxi passengers sometimes give him the side-eye. Guess a PhD.in engineering doesn't count for much behind the wheel. Who knew that doctor before your name was less impressive than Dave from down the street? And don't even get me started on the "where are you really from" questions. Because India isn't a good enough answer, apparently. What are they expecting? A guided tour of his family tree? Raj is starting to feel like he's stuck in some weird reality show where the rules keep changing. One minute, Canada's all about multiculturalism and diversity. The next, he's feeling about as welcome as a poutine made with fat-free cheese. But here's the real kicker, folks. Nearly 60% of recent immigrants with work experience or fancy degrees from abroad hit a wall when trying to get a job because of their foreign qualifications. It's like Canada's saying, "Thanks for your skills, but we'll pass." Have you considered a career in, saying, paper or plastic? And it's not just about getting a job. Even when immigrants do land a gig, they're often stuck in a game of how low can you go? A survey showed that almost all immigrant participants felt there was an invisible barrier, let's call it the maple syrup ceiling, stopping them from moving up the ladder. It's like they're playing a corporate version of snakes and ladders, but all the ladders have been replaced with those slippery snakes. Now, you might be thinking, but Canada's all about multiculturalism, right? Well, turns out there's a Grand Canyon-sized gap between that shiny multicultural image and the reality for many immigrants. Newcomers are running into subtle biases or straight-up racism that chip away at their confidence faster than a beaver through wood. And let's not forget about those pesky cultural differences and social norms. They're like landmines in the workplace, leading to more misunderstandings than a game of broken telephone. Even little things like tone of voice or how direct you are can turn into big problems. It's like trying to navigate a minefield while wearing a blindfold and earplugs. Alright folks, let's wrap this up. Canada's reputation as a land of opportunity? It's fading fast. Experts warn that unless Canada steps up, it might lose its appeal for skilled immigrants. We're talking basics here, recognizing foreign credentials and helping newcomers settle in. But here's the kicker, other countries are upping their game. Australia and Germany are becoming hot spots, offering better jobs and support. So if you're eyeing the Great White North, you might want to think twice. Before you pack, ask yourself, is Canada still the best choice? How do its policies compare? What's your backup plan? The future of Canada as an immigrant destination is looking shaky, eh? Time to reconsider that Tim Hortons addiction, maybe?